Good day, dear students. This is Dr. Wafa, and in this lecture, I'm going to explain the topic of proforms. This is under the title, it is numerated 2.17, and you can find it in the book on page 22. What is a proform? It is a word or a phrase that stands for another word or phrase in a sentence or in a clause. So instead of repeating a full noun phrase, a verb phrase, or a clause, we can simply use a proform to avoid redundancy. And with redundancy, we mean to avoid repetition. Why do we use the proform? Proforms they help to make communication more efficient, clearer, and concise. So you are all urged to use proforms in your everyday language and in your written language as well. Let's take an example. If you look at this passage, in this passage we have the proper noun John constantly repeated over and over again. So if you read the text, read the passage, you would find that the text is awkward. It's not accepted because of the repetition of the same name again and again. So in this case, all we have to do is to mention it for the first time, John, and then all the other references to the original name would be replaced with suitable pronouns. For example, the first sentence of the passage, John said, John lost John's phone. It would be better to say, John said he has lost his phone. So instead of the second mentioning of John, we would use the pronoun he, and the third mentioning of the noun John would be his as a possessive form of the noun. And the replacement is done for the rest of the sentence. You may check it. Types of proform. We have different types of proform. We're going to mention some of them, the most prominent ones. We have the most commonly used is a pronoun that is used instead of a noun, a proper noun or a noun phrase. We have a proverb instead of a verb, pro-adjective, pro-adverb, pro-clause, and so on. And in all cases, we have a particular form that is used to replace, to substitute another form. Let's take some examples for pronouns. Pronouns substitute nouns or noun phrases. Personal pronouns such as Sarah, for example, in this sentence, Sarah is tired, she's going to bed. So we use the pronoun she in order to replace the repetition of the noun Sarah. Also, another example, I prefer this shirt to that. That is used as a pronoun to replace the word shirt, to avoid repetition. Instead of saying, I prefer this shirt to that shirt, we use only the demonstrative that in order to replace the noun shirt. Other types of pronouns, it's worth mentioning to say that only some types of pronouns are listed here. Not all types are covered. So we have the indefinite pronouns like everyone, someone, anything, nothing. For example, I need help. Can someone assist me? Or can anyone assist me? Now this someone or anyone is an indefinite pronoun to substitute the original noun. The original noun is not mentioned, but surely it has a context. Another pronoun is the relative pronoun. Mentioned here, whom, who, whom, which, and that. For example, the artist who painted this is famous. Now this who can be substituted with the artist if we decompose the two sentences, because we have two clauses in this sentence. So the replacement would be with the artist, but the artist is already mentioned, and the second mentioning would be, unaccepted. So in this case, we replace the noun phrase, the artist, with who, to avoid repetition. In this case, we don't avoid only repetition, we also avoid grammatical inaccuracy. because if we mention it 2 times, it wouldn't be grammatically accepted. Other types of proforms would be, we have the proverb. Usually we use verb to do with the most commonly used verbs, do, does, and did. Also possible to use doing and done, but the most commonly used one are these 3 ones. For example, she plays the piano better than I do. I do, the verb do here, replaces the verb phrase plays the piano. So instead of saying she plays the piano better than I do, better than I play the piano, play the piano is replaced with the proform do. So in this case, the verb along with what comes after. So we have the predication is replaced with the verb do. Another example, did you finish your homework? Yes, I did. The second mentioning of the verb did here is a proform, substituting the entire verb phrase or what is called the predication, which is finished my homework. So instead of saying, yes, I finished my homework, you would only use verb did to avoid repetition. Pro-adjective, we have 2 keywords most commonly used, such and so, to be used as a substitution for the adjective. For example, the weather is stormy and it will remain such until tomorrow. It will remain so until tomorrow. Now the word such here substitutes, it is a substitute for the adjective stormy. But to avoid repetition and to have a better grammatical structure, we use such. Or we have another example, Joan is sick and so is Mary. Pay attention to this structure. We have some kind of displacement of the elements. So this word so, it is used to substitute for the adjective sick. Pro-adverb, we have certain keywords such as here, there, then, and thus. Of course, there are others, but this is what is mentioned here. And again, I have to remind you that not all cases of proforms and forms are listed in this lecture. For example, let's meet in the library. I will meet you there. There is a proform replacing the adverb of place, which is in the library. Also, another example, we first met in 1999. Life was simpler then. Then is a proform or pro-adverb replacing in 1999 to avoid the repetition of this phrase. The pro-sentence or pro-clause or let's say, pro-predication, which is part of the clause, so. Let's take an example. Will it rain tomorrow? I think so. So this so is substituting part of the sentence, which is I think it will rain tomorrow. Actually, it is substituting the whole sentence. It is substituting the whole sentence. The second example, if you are tired, please say so. If you are tired, please say that you are tired. Again, this proform is substituting for the whole sentence, for the whole first clause. The proform 1, it is called the all-purpose proform 1. Usually it is found with the countable nouns, plural. If you want to pluralize it, it would be ones. And if you want to use it with singular cases, it would be one, used with countable nouns. For example, this apple is rotten. I need a fresh one. I need a fresh apple. Apple is a countable noun, which is singular. So instead of repeating the word apple, you would use the proform one. Another example, I don't need the red shirts. I prefer the blue ones. Ones is a proform substituting the word shirts, which is plural, to avoid repetition. The rest of the slides, they're just giving you some examples, so you may go through them to check the examples. And if there are any unclear points, any questions, you may write them down in the comments. I'd like to shed light on this proform as well, which is so. So can also be used to replace adverbs as well. For example, if you look at the last sentence, the last one, they worked hard today, they will do so tomorrow. We have the proform so to substitute the adverb hard. So in this case, so, the proform so is also possible to replace adverbs as well. This is just a note for you. Please check the rest of the examples. And this slide is also important. We are given an example in the book. She hoped that he would search the room carefully before her arrival, but he didn't do so. If you pay attention to we have the particular part of the sentence that is bold-faced, search the room carefully before her arrival. And we have this these two words, these two proforms, let's say, that are written in red and bold. A tree diagram shows it better. We have the subject and we have the predicate. With the predicate, we have the operator or the auxiliary, and we have the rest of the sentence, which is the predication. So the sentence would be right at the beginning, he. This is the second clause. They are, in the book, they are analyzing the second clause. It's because we have two clauses. We have three clauses, actually. She hoped, this is the first clause, and then we have the second clause. So they are analyzing the second clause, okay? So he is the subject, would is the auxiliary, and we have searched the room carefully before her arrival. Where search the room carefully is the predication of the first clause, or the second clause. Now, the point is to see which element is replaced and what does replace which. The second element, the third sentence is he replacing he, the same. He is replacing he, the subject. Didn't is replacing would to show negation, and do so is replacing search the room carefully. Of course, there is the rest, but what is shown here, search the room carefully before her arrival. So do is replacing search, and so is replacing the rest of the clause, the room carefully before her arrival. This is all is replaced by so. And we have some exercises here from the workbook. Please do the exercises at home. If I guess we have done the exercises for some of the classes, but if still there are some questions, if any questions are there still in your mind, you may write them down in the comments. So the first one, if you're asking how this material would be evaluated in the exam, one of the ways would be I give you a sentence like this, and some of the parts of the sentence would be underlined, like in the sentence here, the man who has just spoken is underlined. This clause is underlined, and then we have the rest of the sentence is Benjamin Hall. So what is the suitable proform for the underlined element? Simply, it would be the pronoun he. He is Benjamin Hall, and so on. So if you haven't done the exercises yet, do them and try to practice more. And if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to answer. Thank you so much and have a good day.